I want to leave you with a thought about emotional intelligence in relationship, most especially a romantic relationship. So most of the time, couples, when they're talking to each other or getting in arguments, it's in the pattern of attack defense, blame, victimization. And what happens is both individuals kind of harden, and there's the energetic flow between the two individuals gets a little bit stifled. It gets stuck and clogged because it's more of this, like, I'm protecting the vulnerability within myself, and I'm pointing at what you did that made me feel unhappy or unsafe or whatever it is, right? At its core, I know this is going to maybe sound really oversimplistic, but at its core, emotional intelligence within a romantic relationship is learning how to be really honest about how you feel, but in a way where you're taking responsibility for how you feel. So that's why doing the inner work and understanding the language of your emotions, your triggers, your insecurities, your fears, your wounds is vitally important, because once you understand the language of that, and you know how to show up for yourself first and foremost. You are the first point of contact when something arises within you, so that you can be there for yourself without abandoning, neglecting, rejecting, judging yourself, because otherwise you're going to project that totally onto the other person. First point of contact is always, can I do this for myself? Then there's a greater clarity, calmness, sovereignty, autonomy, independence, or interdependence that can arise and occur once we've like dealt with that in a way, or at least just been with it, sat with it, as I like to say it, with consciousness and awareness. Then there's a greater ability to actually express what we're really feeling, because most of the time when I work with couples, and I've had this experience myself, most of the time couples are not really telling the truth. They get stuck in the attack defense pattern. They get stuck in the same exact argument because they're not really going into the vulnerability of how they feel underneath the surface. So emotional intelligence is showing up vulnerably, transparently, and going, wow, this is how I feel right now. And maybe that wasn't your intention, or maybe when you said it in that tone, or when you did that, this is how it made me feel. This is how I am feeling right now. And I want to share that with you, because if there isn't the sharing of what's going on in our inner world and how we're feeling, we suppress, we harden, we disconnect. And then it's easier, once you're disconnected, it's easier to get into attack, defense, blame, victimization roles. Whereas the key to a healthy relationship, and this is across the board, but I'm just specifically talking about romantic relationships, the key is to keep the bridge, like to keep the connection open and flowing, so that instead of someone coming and being like, when you did this pissed me off and it made me angry, where actually that's the armor, right? Whereas actually when you did that, when you said that, when that happened, I felt really scared. I felt really alone. I'm feeling rejected. I'm feeling abandoned. And maybe, you have to work with whatever, if that's a theme for you, how do you tend to that with love within yourself first, right? And, in partnerships, you can work with each other's wounds. You can work with each other's triggers. And this is why I say it's really important when you're in a new relationship, set the foundation. Like you set a strong foundation so you have a really good, long-lasting house, right? And so part of that is to share. Yeah, this is how I get triggered. These are my fears. These are my insecurities. These are my wounds. This is what it looks like when it shows up. This is what I'm really needing when that happens. What could I say to help you, to support you? What could I do? What do you not want me to do? These are all really wonderful things to share when we're not in a triggered space. So at the core of it, I'm going to say it again, like all of it is just to be like, just being really honest and transparent and vulnerable about how I'm feeling in this moment. And, we're not taught to be in our vulnerability. We're not taught to be in an open heart. We're taught to be very guarded and defensive and tough and strong. And, that doesn't serve us when it comes to love. Love requires an open heart. And yes, it's a risk to have an open heart. And at the same time, that risk is so worth it, because the true connection that you're ultimately going to have, and all of the kind of erroneous arguments that are just not needed because they're so on the surface and they're dealing with that attack defense pattern, you're not going to need to go through those, because you can cut straight to the truth, even if sometimes it's hard to say the truth, or sometimes it's hard to hear the truth. but it's the truth. And you can have different perspectives of that truth. You can have different experiences of that. And then the mastery and the art and the skill of that is, can I hear that person's perspective, even if it differs from my own? So emotional intelligence is also about maturity, and getting out of the like pointing the finger, or parent-child kind of dynamics. And it's really showing up as a mature adult, that it's like, it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to have emotions. It's okay to be triggered. That happens. We're human, it's all right. But how do we be with them? How do we hold them? How do we move through them? And how do we express them in a way that we can be heard by our partner without them needing to get defensive or to self-protect themselves? Because we all got our inner child inside of us that's going to be like, eek, don't hurt me, Don't reject me, don't abandon me, don't neglect me, don't judge me, don't expect whatever it is. And so first point of contact, hold your inner child, hold your heart so that you feel safe being vulnerable within yourself. Then you will know better how to be vulnerable with someone else and to express yourself openly, authentically, uniquely, transparently, all of those fun words. So just some thoughts around emotional intelligence. And really, if you just strip it down, how can I be honest? How can I be really honest and vulnerable in all my relationships, friendships, family dynamics? I understand that certain environments we have to, or with certain dynamics of friendships or relationships or in the work environment, we have to use discernment and wisdom, knowing how much we can share and how much we can't, and all of these things. There's different concentric circles, right, of how much you can open yourself. But at the core of that, do you feel safe within yourself, being vulnerable, being transparent, having feelings and emotions and expressing them? If you feel at home within yourself, you're going to feel at home no matter where you are and who you're with. So food for thought, take it or leave it, as always, this feels right for you. I'm loving you from afar.